what's up guys? Welcome to My Life in Audio Engineering, where I talk about my life as an audio engineer, positive affirmations, and tips and tricks on how to better your craft. Today, I'm going to be doing something differently. I'm not going to be talking about audio engineering or having an interview or anything like that. I'm just going to be talking about mainly positive messages, for the creatives who may be having a bad month or a bad week or anything in between. I just want to let you guys know that keep doing your passion no matter what. Keep doing it. Or I'm out there in the trenches with you guys. I had a pretty not so bad month, but it was still a struggle. I had a few things that I had to deal with unrelated to audio engineering that I just had to get through, and I went through it. I'm good to go. Thank God. I live to see another day. But I want to say I'm good. I could focus a little more on my craft as an audio engineer, as well as all the logistics having to do with my podcast and running it, as well as other projects that I have in the works right now. Just to update you guys on what I'm doing, I'm actually working with an artist right now, which I did interview earlier, a few episodes ago. His name's Ray Roper. Right now we're working on a couple of singles that he will be putting up on Spotify and iTunes and all those nice streaming platforms. So check those out. It's gonna be coming up soon or in the near future. I'm working with them, possibly doing a drum programming. I might even play a drums on that. Who knows? We'll see what I do. At the very least, I'll be tracking the project. So that's great. I'm really stoked about that. Also, I have planned an interview with an artist in Sacramento that is gaining a little bit of traction. Her art's great. I like it. Has like a psychobilly aesthetic to it that, I dig. I'm not really too familiar with psychobilly too much, but I really dig, that sort of style, all the horror stuff and anything just like out of the ordinary. I'm like a huge fan of, anything that may be taboo to other people. Like I'm a huge fan of that type of stuff. But sorry, I'm like getting off track. Oh yeah, positive messages. Okay. So positive messages. So like I was saying before, for all you creatives out there who may be experiencing a bad month, bad week, or anything in between, I just want to say that you're not alone. Obviously, you're not alone. You got this podcast to listen to. I'm on the same boat that you are for the most part. And yeah, just keep trucking along. Just keep doing what you love. Keep doing your craft. Keep getting better at it. Keep improving, and all that stuff. And what I want to talk about is ultimately just doing what you love. Just do that. Do what you love. Make no compromises. Do it for only you. And don't worry about what other people think. It's not their life. They can judge whatever they want. But ultimately, what I found, the people that do the most judging are the people who aren't doing what they love or even trying to do what they love. And I know doing what you love is really difficult nowadays. A lot of people have certain circumstances that maybe not preventing them from doing what they want to do, but it gets in the way. And I totally understand that. We got to pay the bills. Everyone has to pay their bills. You got to make ends meet. But for the most part, I'm a huge advocate for not taking that job just because it gives you money, but you hate it. Like, take that job that gives you less, but you love it to death. And I know people who are parents, or have some kind of responsibility like that, I get that you don't have that sort of freedom to do so. But I highly suggest, if you're a single person like me who doesn't have a lot of responsibilities weighing on you, just go after it. Like, Why not? Honestly, it just makes a lot more sense just to go after what you love now, seeing as you don't have tons of responsibilities you have to adhere to. You're not married, you're single. You don't have to worry about having money to buy things for your boyfriend or girlfriend or anything like that. And it's a great time. I'm talking to those type of people. Ultimately I want to talk to all the creatives, but this particular message that I'm trying to spread, these are for the single people who don't have responsibilities, who can be okay if they take a pay cut to do whatever they love, to do and give 100% on that. That's who I want to talk to, or that's who this message is for. And I'm not sure if you guys listen to or know who David Cho is. Basically, David Cho, he's like a multimillionaire. He created graffiti art for Facebook back in the day before they even became big. And instead of pay, he took stocks in the company. And that obviously, turned out great for him, because now those stocks that he took are worth a substantial amount of money nowadays. And he's able to practically just do what he wants, and he's an artist, so he just goes around the world and makes art, and it's great. He gets to do whatever he wants, and he has podcasts, and he has a band, and he travels, and it's great, man. That's the sort of thing I'm trying to work towards. But the reason why I mentioned David Cho is he has this one episode of his old podcast, which is no longer in production, called DVDASA. He's talking about, like, this particular episode, he's on the ranch, and it's a 2-part episode. It's called The Ranch. And if you want to look it up, you can look it up on Google. It's called The Ranch Part 1 and The Ranch Part 2. But basically what made me want to do this particular podcast is that I want to take what he said about doing what you love, but making my own spin about it. Like, the way he goes about telling people to do it is a little more extreme than I would tell people, because he talks about, like, he's a little more aggressive with it. I'm pretty aggressive too, but he talks about doing it at all costs. And at all costs, he means at all costs, like breaking the law, doing some crazy stuff. And I'm not about that stuff. I mean, I firmly believe in doing what you got to do, but I don't think you have to sacrifice your morals or break the law or do anything like that. And I mean, there's a lot of portions of that podcast I do agree with. Like, he says, like, if you got a wife and kids, then you're ultimately just, like, weighed down. And that person who's doing the same exact thing that you're doing ultimately has a leg up, because they don't have those responsibilities. And I totally agree with that. But then obviously you can't control that, so you're going to have to figure out a way. You got to figure out a way to get through it and just push through and get better at your craft. And if that means, like, getting less sleep, so be it. I totally agree with that. I know we all need 8 hours of sleep, and some people say, yeah, I can't really function without, less than 8. And that's something I totally disagree with. You can totally function. It might not be healthy, but it's a must. Like, let's say you work a 9-to-5 job. You get home, you're tired of shit, and then suddenly you just don't have inspiration. So, my advice for those people who have a 9-to-5 and who are trying to get into a creative thing or already in one, but see that as a problem, or like saying, like, oh, I'm tired when I get home and it's so hard to, like, have inspiration to do my stuff, to work on projects. Like, you got to push through that. Like in my experience, I'm not trying to brag or anything, but in my experience, I was doing this too. Like, I wasn't like doing the whole complaining thing, but I'm like, I was working the 2 jobs. Like, I had a job in the morning. It was a 9 to 5. I would have like 2-hour, 3-hour gap in between, and then I would have to go to my 10 to 6 a.m. job. And I was like, dude, I don't have any sort of time to like work on creative projects. And at the time, yeah, it was really, really hard to find time. But ultimately, you know, in that 3-hour block, I was able to at least like hone on my craft a little bit. Like, let's say like work on a mix or something along the lines of that, you know, some kind of project, or even just like looking up tutorials to see how I can get better at a certain mixing technique. Or yeah, that's what I had to do. And when I was working those 2 jobs, you know, I would try to find time, you know, to get like little bits of rest when I could. If I could shut my eyes for like 5 seconds, it worked out. And I did that for a good, like, I want to say 8 months. And I only did that just to pay like some debts that ultimately I wanted to get knocked out. But it was a good experience. Definitely a good experience. The pay wasn't great, I'm not gonna lie, but the work wasn't too difficult in that second job. But yeah, that's definitely what I had to do. And that's another thing I want to talk about is sometimes you gotta do shit like that. Like, sometimes in order to do the thing that you want to do, you gotta work those 2 jobs. You gotta work those 2 shit jobs that you absolutely hate for X amount of time or X amount of years in order to be set enough to do what you're passionate about. And I'm very sorry if this is all over the place. You know, this is kind of just, I'm running and gunning it more than usual. I decided to just, you know, just like verbal diarrhea, just tell you guys like, yeah, this is normal. This is normal. And you just gotta hustle. You just gotta hustle. You gotta find a way, you know. Oh yeah, and another thing that I want to throw out there is, you know, for anyone who may be like living in a toxic environment, you know, because I've seen that before, or maybe not just a toxic environment. I mean, it could be a toxic environment, but also an environment where they just simply don't understand what you're doing. Like, just fight through it. Just fight through it. You're gonna get a lot of backlash doing what you do, and it's really unavoidable for the most part, based in my experience, because they simply just don't understand. They don't know what you're doing. Like, you can explain yourself multiple times and be like, hey, this is like what I'm doing. This is like what I've been trying to do. And it's crazy how some people don't feel like that's actually valid hard work. And I'm like, just because you're not doing manual labor, or just because you're not doing anything as a lawyer, as a doctor, or anything like that, doesn't make your work any less important. You know, you're doing work that you enjoy. And I find that like older generations don't seem to understand that you can make money as a creator nowadays. And it might not be here forever. You know, YouTube might not be here forever. Who knows? But why not get into that if you're into production and into making content? Like, why not try to do that? Like, it's always good to have a fallback, but when you're young and you don't have responsibilities, you're single, you don't have to worry about shit, you don't have to worry about anyone else but yourself, those are the times where you can just be like, hey, I'm just going to take massive amounts of risk. And not to throw too much of my experiences in there. I mean, I think it's important, but I don't want to make it sound like, okay, like he's just trying to talk or brag about himself. But like, no, like, I just want to tell you guys like what I've been through. I just want to do that. Looking back, you know, I made so many like risky, you know, I tried so many risky endeavors that ultimately like either, you know, paid off big or like failed, but I learned from it, or something in between. But yeah, I want to say that I've tried a lot. I've risked a lot of things, and a lot of times, you know, I just go for it. I do some research, but I don't waste my time with all the research, because when you do all the research or you think you need to know more, but you don't take any action, it's worthless. You can have all the knowledge about everything, but if you don't go out of your way to do that said thing, it's worthless. Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, why spend all this time researching something when you're not even going to try to do that certain thing? And I get a lot of flack from that. It's like, okay, like, oh, you didn't do your homework about this. Or I'm like, if I sit around and just do homework and research all the time and that's it, like, how am I going to get anything done? That's a problem with some creatives. Like, they think too much about how to get something perfect that they ultimately not finish something that they started. And I've been guilty of that, you know, but I want to say a lot of creatives suffer from that. They spend so much time to get something perfect that they ultimately take forever on a certain project, or they just don't finish it. And I've been there. I have a few things that I haven't finished, but yeah, like, I've been there, but I'm slowly trying to break away from that. And that's what I highly suggest to other creatives to do, is just to get out of that whole mindset of, damn, I need to get perfect on this. I need to do this. I mean, perfection is good to some extent, but set a mental due date. Just be like, hey, this is finished. This mix is done. Like, don't work on a mix for like 10 years. You'd be like, oh, it's not done yet. Like, you're always gonna, for any project that you do, you're always gonna be like, oh, I could have done better. But then you're just diving to the past. You're just like, you're gonna drive yourself nuts if you keep doing that. So lately, what I've been trying to incorporate, and I highly suggest other people incorporate this too, and obviously this is just a suggestion, you don't have to follow it, but based on my experience, I feel like this works. It's like, okay, just get your revisions done. Let's say if you're an audio engineer, okay, so you get your mix, got it going, sounds pretty good, but you're like, you know, could be better. Okay, and you work on it. You work on it a little more, you know, a week has passed and you're still not satisfied. And then your clients are like, oh, I need that in like 4 days. And you're over there just stressing about it. I mean, stress is good in healthy doses, but at the same time, it's just like, just get it done. Like, get it done. Get it done to the best of your abilities. Don't dwell on it. And then just put it out. Just give it to your client. They don't like it, do the revision, change some things here and there that they wanted, and that's it. Put it out there. Like, don't stress so much. You know what you're doing. But yeah, my bad. This is all over the place, but I just wanted to kind of just like spread some positive affirmations. I also wanted to spread some like experiences that you guys may not know about. And I also want to say that, once again, you know, I'm right there with you, and so are a lot of other creatives. So just keep grinding, keep honing in your craft and improving. Well, that's all I got for you guys. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a good day, guys. Later.